Alright guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I am doing a get ready with me using my Standout luxury makeup in my collection. I just recently did this video where I mentioned my most unique makeup products. So these are products that I can't find in another brand, so I feel like I have to keep on repurchasing these products. They're just very unique in that they are either multi-use products or how they appear on the skin. So I just wanted to film this get ready with me with using those products so you could see them in action. So don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Leave some comments down below. Let me know your favorite standout luxury makeup in your collection because I would love to try that. And let's just get straight into the look. Starting with the eyes, I was kind of debating what palette to use. I haven't used the honeymoon palette on my channel yet, but I think I want to do like a full-on fall tutorial using that one. So I am going to go in with the Charlotte Tilbury Star Aura, just because this is limited edition, so I'm going to use it on camera while I can. And I'm going to just create an easy breezy look because that is just my favorite look to do. And obviously with these sort of shades, you're going to get an any occasion look, which I love. I'm going to take a Sonia G Blender Pro Brush and just take it into this smoke shade right here, which is kind of like a middle ground shade. It's like a nice bronze. So there are no mattes in this palette, but I don't really care about that. You could go in with a bronzer if you do want something matte. I'm just blending this first onto the outer corner, and then I kind of have a more defined crease just naturally, so then I kind of take the excess product into the crease, and then I am going to also blend that color all over the lid. So I'm starting this off as kind of a one and done look, but I'm having most of the depth and color on that outer corner. And the thing I love most about these big gilets are that you can really build them up. So that just applies a really sheer amount of color, which would be great for daytime, great for any, like I said, any occasion. But then you can really build them up too and get a really beautiful look. And it never looks overdone. It's never too pigmented or anything. So I'm just going to build that up on the outer corner. And then again, kind of work it all over the lid. I'm not being super precise because again, the great thing about these shadows is that they're so easy to blend. They're almost effortless to blend. They never look too muddy in one area. They never look blotchy or patchy or anything. They just blend out so easily. So these are great for beginners. If you're just going for a really easy one and done look, that would just be great to do. But I am going to go in with this shade right here, which is the prime shade. And I'm going to just pop that on the lid. And I'm going to use a Sonia G. This is a Builder 2 brush. And this one is probably the most sparkly shade in the palette and has the most color payoff. And I want to say it is sparkly in that there are sparkles in it, but it's not a chunky glitter at all. There are no glitter particles. It just is that beautiful, sophisticated sheen that I like to call it. So it's never overdone or anything. It never looks obnoxious. Again, this is a bit of a sparkle. It's a very subdued sparkle that you could wear daytime. Spice it up for the evening time is just a great little shadow. Again, you could leave it here for an everyday sort of look, but I'm just going to add a tiny bit of depth on the upper lash line. So this isn't a shade that I would say is really deep enough to use as an eyeliner, but you can at least get a little bit of depth on the lash line. And I haven't been really into using a liner on my upper lash line, so this will just give me enough depth to really define my lashes versus being really dark that it looks over the top or intense. I guess it doesn't really look over the top, but I'm just going to press this along the upper lash line, and I am not being precise at all. I'm kind of just blending it a little messily against my upper lash line, again, because the shade isn't too deep, and these colors look really subdued on the eyes that you'll just get a little bit of color payoff, and it's not going to be anything too intense. So you don't have to be too precise with this. And then for a little bit of color on the lower lash line, I'm just going to dip into the prime shade here and then the smoke shade there. And I'm just going to go back and forth and run that across the lower lash line. If you did want a little more color payoff on the lid, you could go in with your fingertips and just get a little more intensity and a little more color payoff with this more, I don't even want to say again, glittery shade, but that will just intensify the look a little more. But I'm going to leave this as is because I think it's just a great daytime look. Again, it would be great for going out for dinner or anything like that. An evening look is just perfect any occasion makeup. So I'm just going to go ahead and apply mascara. I didn't have any like standout mascaras or unique mascaras in my collection. And then I'll be back and we can work on the face. I have put on my mascara and I just always love how this palette turns out. Like I said, I know this can look boring in the pan, but you can truly get a few diverse looks out of this. I know, again, it doesn't look like you could, but you really can. And I love how this looks on the eyes. It is just so great. It's what I reach for if I don't know what I want to use. I love the formula of this. I just love how it looks on the eyes, how it melds into the skin. It never looks overdone or over the top. So I highly suggest you guys check this out if you haven't. Again, so I'm going to move on to the face. I have already gone in with my concealer. So I had a few products that I mentioned in my Standout luxury makeup that you could use as a primer. So I'm just going to talk about them quickly. So I did mention the Chanel Water Fresh tint. I have the shade medium that I use as either a primer or a very light skin tint. And then I also have the shade deep that I use as a bronzer that just gives you a beautiful bronzed effect without texture on your skin. So it gives you that really great kind of no makeup bronzed effect, or like a natural glam sort of look. Very beautiful. It never looks like makeup on the skin. So that's a great option for a bronzer if you don't like the look of makeup. I'm going to forgo this today because I have another product that adds more perfection to my skin, and I just don't want the products to get too layered up where they look heavy. But I just wanted to mention these again. Another product that I mentioned that you could use almost as a primer, almost like a skin tint as well, that just kind of perfects the skin, is the Chanel Le Beige Healthy Glow Bronzing Cream. This is really great as a sort of primer, or to just get, like I said, that tint on your skin so you don't require as much foundation or concealer over top. But today I did want to use the Sisley Blur Expert Powder because this is just so unique to use as a primer because, again, it is a powder. I'm going to try and put this a bit more together. So if you have not seen this yet, this is the powder. You can see I have completely gone through the middle because this is just the primer that I use for if I really want my makeup to be long lasting or have that more perfected look, or even just if I'm going on like a night out or something and I want my skin to look perfect, essentially. It just adds like a blurred effect, almost like a filter on your skin. So for this step, what I like to do is take a dense brush. So I'm going to use the Wayne Goss number 12 brush, I believe. The number's kind of fallen off of it. And I like to just tap my brush in like this. That's probably a bit too much. I usually go in it just a few times. And now the thing is, you don't apply this all over your face. You just apply it to the center of your face where you have the most texture and pores. So I'm going to bring it a little bit onto my nose and then the center of my forehead. And then I like to go just on the middle of the chin. So I only go into the powder that one time. And you will see you haven't added any foundation. And it doesn't really add any coverage. It adds just a bit of a tint. But you get this really blurred and perfected look just by stamping that product right in this area, which again requires you to not go in with as much foundation. And especially in this area, I really like that because when someone is looking at you, they look at the center of your face. So I don't like to apply much foundation in this area because I just think it looks really heavy and you can really see the makeup there. And then that in turn can really emphasize actually the texture that you have there when you're going in with too much product in that area. That's just what I find personally. So then I just find I don't even really need foundation in the center of my face when I do that. Now, I also mentioned the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter. And like I said, a lot of these products that made it into my Standout luxury makeup are multi-use products. So you can use this as a primer and as you can mix it into your foundation, and you can also use it as a highlighter, like a liquid highlighter over top of your makeup instead of a powder highlighter. So I guess I will just go in with it today to show you how I use it under foundation. Usually because I've applied that powder underneath, I would just forego this step, but I'll just show you today. So for the Hollywood Flawless Filter, my preference is to use it under foundation as a makeup primer. And I just kind of go on the high points of my cheekbones here, down the center of my nose, and on my Cupid's bow. And I really enjoy this product because it looks so skin-like. So especially when you're highlighting like the center of your nose and Cupid's bow, sometimes that can look a little over the top and like too intense. So this is just a really subdued way of getting that highlight effect. This is also great if you suffer with texture and you find powder highlights just emphasize that texture too much, because this is just so subtle and subdued and it really looks like skin. This is one of the only cream products I find works well over top of powder as well. The foundation I mentioned as my Standout luxury makeup is the Dior Air Flash Spray Foundation. Now this is obviously a Standout because it is in this spray can, and I think I've used this on camera maybe a few times, but I usually mix it in with other foundations because that's just what I love about this foundation, is that it is this great mixer. And a lot of my foundations that I really love are more on the dewy, hydrating side, more of that light coverage. So when I mix this into a lighter coverage, more dewy foundation, it adds a bit of a perfecting effect, and it's a very thin texture, so it doesn't add like too much texture to your foundation where in turn it looks heavy, but it just adds a bit of mattifying properties and just makes the foundation, like a dewier foundation, a little more long lasting and adds like the slightest bit more coverage, but again without that texture because the texture of this is so thin. So you do need to shake it up. You can hear that. And then what I like to do for this foundation is I like to spray it either onto a palette or onto the palm of your hand, because again, you don't want to work on the back of your hand because there's pores and the pores will absorb that foundation first. And so you just see it there. And then I just like to take my beauty blender and I like to go on the skin from there. So I like to work kind of one spray at a time. The only issue with a product like this is that you're not pumping it out, so you don't know how many. Usually, like if you were working with a foundation with a pump, you go, oh, I require one pump of this foundation. But with this, you kind of have to guesstimate. So I would recommend going in with a very sheer level of coverage first and then building it up. And again, because I have that blur powder underneath, I don't need as much foundation on. So I think that one spray is going to work for my full face, but I don't like a lot of coverage, so that will work for me. And it just goes on so easily. It blends onto the skin beautifully. And what I love about Dior foundations is that they give you coverage and a perfecting effect without looking like makeup. They really do have a skin-like appearance on your skin. Another great thing about this foundation is that you can get a really sheer layer of coverage, and it is super buildable because the texture of it is quite thin. You could see it when it was on my hand. It's not like a thick foundation that's really creamy or anything. So you can build it up without adding a lot of texture onto your skin. And because that texture is so thin, this is a great water-resistant, sort of heat-proof foundation. If you are looking for something for like extreme heat, this is a great option. It works really well on humidity. It doesn't like melt off your face or anything. For the bronzer, I am going to take the Chanel Elay Beige Healthy Glow Bronzing Cream. You could go in with a brush, but I'm just going to go in with my beauty blender, just take the back of it, and then I'm going to stamp it on to my skin. Now I really love this product because it gives you such a natural glow. You're not going to, again, because it is a cream product, but it's not a cream product that starts off ultra pigmented and it's like too intense in color payoff, because those ones I find really finicky to use and they're really challenging to use, especially if you are beginning at makeup, because you need to be so careful with how you're applying the product and they're so noticeable on the skin. So this is great because of how sheer it applies on the skin. And even when you swatch it and apply it, you can almost see your skin through this cream bronzer, which I enjoy because that means it's sheer and it's going to look more skin-like. It's not going to give you too much pigment and be hard to blend out on the skin. You can, this is almost like a foolproof cream bronzer because it's so subtle in its intensity. It gives me a really natural bronze effect. It's not too much deeper than my skin tone. So I really enjoy it. I know not a lot of people really were obsessed with this reformulation. I really enjoy it because I do think it is more sheer than the Soleil Tan de Chanel. And I also don't think it's as like orange toned as that one. And it's really buildable. So I'm just building it up a little bit. And it looks so skin-like. I don't look like I'm wearing a ton of bronzer or a lot of makeup. So I really enjoy that. But now I'm just going to move on to the highlight. So I'm going to take that Charlotte Tilbury Flawless Filter again because I didn't have a highlight that I mentioned. I will suggest though, if you are looking for a standout luxury highlighter, I would suggest a Big Chalet formula. So ones that I can think of, a lot of Big Chalet highlighters or just Big Chalets in general, I feel like are limited edition, which is interesting. So my favorite ones are like the Anastasia and Resi highlight. I also really like the Chanel highlight that was released in the spring collection. That is stunning. It is so skin-like. And then the Natasha Denona, that is such a tongue twister to me, I'm not sure why. I Need a Nude highlighter that came out for the holidays last year. That is still in stock. I would recommend that if you're looking for something that looks like a cream highlighter, but it's easier to use because it's a powder product. So is just more beginner friendly. I don't know why. I really enjoy those products because I just feel like they're so easy to use versus like you need to take a lot of time to use that product. That's just my preference. I don't think I've ever really showed this step on my channel, but this is actually a brush that came with the Chanel Sublimage L'Essence de Tone Foundation. I don't really use it for the foundation, but sometimes after I've applied foundation onto my skin, if maybe I feel like I applied a bit too much in the center of my face, or I don't know, I just want to sheer out a foundation, I like to run over with a clean brush. Just, I don't know, I like to see my freckles in this area, so sometimes I just run over just to soften the makeup there, and then you could even run it over everything just to really soften the makeup so it doesn't look too heavy or anything. I'm going to quickly finish up the lower lash line. So another thing I love about this Chanel bronzer, again, multi-use product, you can use this as a cream eyeshadow. So I'm just going to take this on a pencil brush, and yeah, unfortunately it does kind of like, obviously you will see a dent in your cream bronzer, but it works as a cream eyeshadow and it looks really lovely. So I'm just going to blend this on the lower lash line. Alright, I just applied some lower lash mascara, and I just want to mention another kind of standout luxury bronzer in my collection, which is either the Sisley bronzer or the Chantecaille Sirena. This is the Real Bronze. I just love this because, again, it's a beige gelée, so when you feel it, it almost feels, it's a really interesting texture. It feels like a gel, like almost like it would a cream product. It's a little, I don't want to say it's moussey feeling because it's not, it doesn't actually feel like a cream, but it is really smooth in texture, and the way it applies on the skin is very similar to a cream product. So again, they're very buildable. You can start out with a sheer layer and build them up to get more intensity, and it adds just this beautiful soft sheen that, again, there's no sparkle or shimmer, but it just lays on the skin very beautifully if you want that really natural bronzed effect that doesn't look like a ton of makeup sitting atop of your skin. So I don't have a blush that's standout in my collection, so I thought I'd just use this one, which is the Dior Charnel blush. This is the Rouge blush. I hear no one talking about this formula, and I think it is so beautiful. I love the color of this too because it's that perfect neutral tone. So it just pairs well with any lip color, any eye look, and it's just a great blush for when you don't know what to apply to your cheeks because you're not sure if it will go with a look. You just use this, and this again has a slight sheen to it, but I don't feel like it emphasizes texture because I do not like a shimmery blush, especially in this area, because I do find, well, with most shimmers, unfortunately, it does emphasize texture. That's just kind of what they do, but this does not at all, and I just love the youthful effect that it gives me, which again is what blush does on your skin. At this point in the makeup, you might think that I would go in with the powder product, which I mentioned is the Chantecaille Blur Expert, but I actually like to reserve this for the very last step because I just like to wait until the end of my makeup application to see if I actually need powder, or do I want to bring this throughout my day and only use it when I start to look a little bit shiny. So again, I did mention a few powders in that Standout Luxury Makeup video. So I'm going to show you my Guerlain Meteorites. I haven't used this in so long, I guess because I haven't really been going out or anything. So what I like to do with this is take a dense brush. The best brush that I have found is the Face One. And I'm going to use this as a finishing powder. So I'm going to shake it up, break those balls apart, and then when you take out the lid, you'll just see that there's a bit of powder sitting atop of that. So I just take the powder that's on that, and then I like to just sweep off the excess just in case, and then you just buff it into your skin. So I buff it over top of all that. I guess I use mostly creams, but I don't find that this disturbs the cream products. Maybe because I have dry skin. If you have oily skin, you might want to set your face first and then buff. But this just blends everything together so seamlessly. It looks like all the products are just melted into my skin versus like I have these patches of bronzer and blush and highlighter sitting atop. And the sheen that it gives, again, when you buff it into your skin, the more kind of pearly it gets and just gives you with this beautiful blurred effect. Doesn't look heavy. It gives you that kind of skin-like effect back, which I know sounds weird when you're adding a powder to your face, but it does just look more skin-like in my opinion. Now that all the powder is applied, this is where I kind of assess the situation and determine if I require powder. So right now, I don't feel like I need powder. Again, that Sisley primer, the powder that acts as a primer, really helps with this step, and I feel like I don't need to apply powder over top. So I am going to forgo powder just for now, but again, what I like to do is just carry around a blurring primer, or sorry, a blurring powder like the Chantecaille, and I will use this to touch up throughout the day. So because this is a big gelée, you need a more dense brush to pick up that product. And then what I would do is I would just press it into that powder and then just kind of touch up throughout the day, just go like this on the areas that require a bit of powder. It's actually worked out well that I'm not using powder because I'm going to go in with the Dior Air Flash Radiance Mist, which is a primer and setting spray, long-lasting airbrush radiance. So you could use this as a primer. You could use this throughout the day to touch up, but I like it best to set my makeup with. So just shake it up and then just spray it across the skin like that. It has a really nice fresh scent to it. If I hadn't gone in with that Guerlain Meteorites powder to buff in those products, I would just use this, and I swear this replaces that buffing step. It literally looks like you have a filter on your skin. It just perfects. It's so beautiful. I just can't get over it. It erases pores and texture, especially in this area, and you just look blurred and more perfected. It's such a unique product. I love it. The problem with this is because of the aerosol can, you will run through it pretty fast. But yeah, I just love this. So I tend to just reach for it for special occasions, and then I'll just buff with the Guerlain for other occasions because I'm not going to run through that as fast. We have finally reached the final step. I feel like I talked so much this video. This is the Chanel Le Rouge Duo Ultra Tenue Gloss. So I'm going to start out, you could start out with a lip liner. I'm just going to go in straight with this. I do have the Dior Lip Maximizer kind of acting as just a lip balm while I apply my makeup. And I'm going to start off just applying it like I would any sort of lip gloss. And then you can kind of perfect the edges a bit with the tip of this. It's really interesting. It kind of has it almost feels watery on your lips, like a watery consistency. And then you kind of just play the weighting game a bit. So I'm just gonna let this sit on my lips, just chill there for a second. Okay, so I've been waiting here for about 60 seconds, and it's really interesting because when you press your lips together, it gets incredibly sticky feeling. So it's almost uncomfortable because it's really sticky, but it's so different than other liquid lipsticks that just feel dry on your lips. Once it has reached that sticky point, then you go in with the gloss. I'm just going to apply this, and you must use this one. Don't use another gloss that you have. And then you can kind of just rub it in. Again, I like that kind of worn-in lip look, so that's why I didn't go in with a lip liner because I think it looks just a little too perfected. But that makes the liquid lipstick super duper comfortable, and this is what seals in that liquid lipstick, I guess, into your lips, and it makes it incredibly long wearing and just ultra comfortable. It is so weird because I usually hate liquid lipsticks. I just think they look so drying. But this is just so beautiful, and I really like this color. It's kind of like my lips, but better. So that is it for my full face of Standout luxury makeup. These are the most unique makeup products in my collection. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know if you do want to see that Tom Ford look down below, and I will definitely do that. But let me know, again, your favorite unique products in your collection. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Like this video if you like it, and I'll see you in my next video.